Hi everyone, welcome back to Popped or Flopped. Let's check out the movies from Friday and see how they turned out. These are the results. Mercy surprisingly dethroned Avatar. That's very interesting. $11 million though. And then Avatar's now in second place. Utopia got pushed down. The Housemaid is still holding in there. 20 years later, didn't seem, I don't know. It seems okay. I think now it's kind of dropping off in the second week. Return to Silent Hill flopped. $3 million. $3 million. What in the world? Primate is on its way out. Anaconda, nobody like that. Click, I didn't see that on Friday, so made $1 million. That flopped. Greenland 2, definitely people aren't liking that one anymore. The Testament of Ann Lee was one of the other ones from Friday. $1 million. Wow. There you go. That's pretty wild. Wicked for Good has finally been pushed all the way down. 10 weeks. Then Five Nights at Freddy's 2, 8 weeks. Really mixed film for Freddy's 2. Very weird. And that's it. Mr. Nobody Against Putin. What? $11,000. All right. Well, yeah, those are the movies that came out on Friday. We can check out a couple of reviews for them. So here's this Mercy film. Kind of interesting. I mean, great idea. Just like, Terminator or whatever. It's like one of those ideas of like a possibility, This one is 7 out of 10 stars, reflection on mercy. This is one of those films where the concept carries as much weight as the plot, while parts of the story are slightly predictable. The ideas it explores feel uncomfortably close to the present. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's good to see what could happen, whatever. The film imagines a near-future justice system run by AI, acting as judge, jury, and executioner. Society is fraying at the edges. Poverty is widespread. The drug epidemic is visible on the streets, and technology has stepped in not to heal these problems, but to manage and contain them. The AI has access to everything: email, text, phone calls, surveillance, cameras, effectively erasing privacy. It's invasive in a way that feels less like science fiction and more like an extrapolation of where we're already headed. Pretty true. Chris Pratt's character adds more attention to the premise because he helped create the system that now condemns him. While he's accused of murdering his wife, the court operates on a chilling inversion of justice. He is guilty until he can prove himself innocent. That alone reframes the entire trial as something closer to psychological punishment than legal process. The uncertainty is amplified by his memory lapse. Because he was heavily intoxicated the night before, he genuinely does not know whether he committed the crime or not. That lack of certainty traps him not only in the system but in his own mind. The film leans into this anxiety, making the trial feel personal and destabilizing rather than the procedural or action-driven. Rebecca Ferguson's portrayal of the AI judge is a standout. She brings an intense, unsettling presence to the role, using subtle facial control and piercing eye expressions to make the AI feel constantly watchful. Even though the character is supposedly emotionless, Ferguson layers in micro-expressions that blur the line between machine logic and human judgment. At times, the AI feels cold and mechanical. At others, disturbingly empathetic. That ambiguity strengthens the film's central tension and raises an uncomfortable question: is the AI truly objective or simply reflecting the biases and moral shortcuts of its creators? While the surveillance aspects evoke 1984-style Big Brother imagery, the film wisely keeps its focus narrow. This isn't a broad political manifesto. It's a character-driven story about accountability, guilt, and what happens when systems designed for efficiency erase nuance and humanity. The story does uncover hidden motives and shifting alliances, and while some twists are predictable, others land effectively. Even when the narrative moves in expected directions, it remains engaging because the stakes are emotional rather than purely plot-driven. Mercy may not reinvent the genre, but it is a tense, relevant, and thoughtful enough to linger after the credits roll, and that's ultimately what gives it weight. That's kind of interesting. Sometimes I don't believe these reviews. You believe that one? Do you think that's a real review? Somebody wrote that and not a human. This one is 10 out of 10. One of the best movies I've ever watched. How would that be possible? The acting is phenomenal as well as the pacing. It kept you on that edge the whole time because of how real it felt. Rebecca had an unbelievable performance. She nailed the character. So did Chris Pratt. The story is kind of unique, but the execution of the idea was insanely good. It made you feel as though you're living there as a detective on your own. In short, this movie is amazing. Give it a shot. You won't regret. Don't judge based on the ratings. Trust me. A real mouthful. That's a real run-on sentence. This one is 3 out of 10, most ridiculous story. Suddenly everybody remembers Minority Report. That's hilarious. Yeah, this movie is basically kind of seemingly like a version of that movie or something, which is kind of funny. So yeah, those are mostly the reviews for that film, Mercy. I can't believe it had enough to take out to be in first place. That's pretty hilarious. The next one is this Silent Hill, 170 reviews, 10 out of 10, amazing movie. How is that possible? Return to Silent Hill nails the atmosphere that made the games legendary. It's dark, slow burn, and genuinely unsettling with thick fog, haunting sound design, and visuals that feel ripped straight from a nightmare. That's probably true. Instead of cheap scares, it leans into psychological horror and emotional weight, which makes everything hit harder. It actually feels like Silent Hill, lonely, tragic, and disturbing in the best way. For fans of the franchise, this is a love letter. Absolute 10 out of 10. How is that possible? This movie has a 4.3 star rating. Lower than Revelation or whatever that other one is. 4.9 for that one. That's crazy. 3 out of 10 stars. Not worth the big screen. This is not serious and not even worth discussing, but I'll still write it. I have no idea how this ended up on big screens. The movie is very bad. Creepy, cringe ghost girls, cliches, claims that professional dancers were hired, but in reality, the film is 90% CGI. On top of that, the shaky camera makes your head spin. Wow. 3 out of 10 waited years and years and years for this. Not good. Wow. 1 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Well, wow. And 10 out of 10? I don't believe that one. How's that possible? Well, there you go on Silent Hill. The next one is this H for Hawk that the studio actually flagged my video for it. So I took the video down, I re-edited another one, uploaded that, and then they unblocked the previous video, and now both videos are there, so you can watch either one. It doesn't matter, really. This movie, H is for Hawk. It's definitely F is for failure, or F is for flop. It didn't make it. 7 reviews, 6 out of 10, Falcon's Crest. Ordinarily, I argue that the most important aspect of a film to me is the story. I would, however, say that I quite liked H is for Hawk, even though the actual story is probably its least significant aspect. It's perhaps defined as a performance movie, exactly what I said. It's more of like the character. Claire Foy is wonderful in a raw and moving performance, never afraid to show us the obvious failings of pouring your mental well-being into a hobby and never dealing properly with the grief she feels. She's ably supported by both Gleason, who continues to appear in the film via flashbacks. Oh, there you go. It's a tragedy, so I think the Hawk's gonna die. D is for death, I think. Hopefully not, though. Next one is 9 out of 10 stars. Not all movies have to live in Hollywood. 7 out of 10, slow but warm. 6 out of 10, grieving. 6 out of 10, H is for how long are they going to drag this out for? That's funny. Yeah, I read those ones last Friday. So yeah, those are the reviews for H for Hawk. Interesting, I guess. Definitely flopped. Didn't have what it takes. The next one is Testament of Ann Lee. 17 reviews, 9 out of 10. One of the best films I've seen in a long time. Wow. All right. 8 out of 10, a movie about Shakers has me shook. 8 out of 10, a film with a pulse. 8 out of 10, respectful portrayal of early Shakers. 4 out of 10, accurate? Maybe, but it doesn't matter because it isn't all that entertaining. 7 out of 10, whole lot of shaken. 5 out of 10, made me feel pointlessly bad. 10 out of 10, sacred tremor of the body. 5 out of 10, modern cacophony. Yeah, I read that one already. What do you believe? The reviews are all over the place. And this movie, The Testament of Ann Lee, has a lot of people in it. You know? Has a lot of big actors, I guess. We can now check out a couple of the Rotten Tomatoes results of these movies. Kind of hard to read this Rotten Tomatoes sometimes, but I mean, look at Mercy. The critics hated it and the audience loved it. Silent Hill, everybody hated this one. That's good to know. When everybody hates something or likes something together, because this one, that's good. The other ones are kind of confusing. Like Mercy, the critics hated it, but then the audience loved it. And Silent Hill, the critics and the audience hated it. Everybody hated that movie. Everybody's in agreement that Silent Hill sucks. But then Mercy, they go, nope, we liked it. Yeah, we hated it. It's hard to believe, you know, like what to believe. You know, it's weird. 74% for H is for Hawk. The critics loved it, and it's not even in the movie theater. How is that possible? It has no ratings. All the people who have a Rotten Tomatoes account didn't bother to give it a rating, I guess. That's so weird. Here's the Bone Temple. Everybody liked the Bone Temple. That's funny. Primate, everybody loved Primate. Clicker, how is that possible? The critics hated it or didn't even watch it, but the audience liked it? How? Why? How bizarre. Dead Man's Wire, everybody loved it. Night Patrol, everybody hated it. Night Patrol looked like something else. And then it's a vampire movie. Very weird. It looked like 3 movies in one. Greenland 2, everybody's in disagreement on that one. 49%. The critics absolutely hated it, and the audience loved it. It's very entertaining, but a weak, stupid, dumb, simple story, I guess. I don't know. How bizarre is that? And We Bury the Dead. The critics loved it, and the audience absolutely hated it. Is that what that means? And then Avatar. Don't you think that 66% should be a little higher, right? The critics didn't like it as much as the audience. They really liked it, enough that it's been there for the entire month. And then some. That's so funny. All right, well, that wraps up this episode, really. Comment down below if you saw any of these movies and what you thought of it. Are you surprised about which movie that Mercy made it into #1 and knocked Avatar down? I'm pretty surprised at that. And then on Thursday, we'll see which movies are going to pop or flop. We have Iron Lung, Melania, Send Help, and Shelter. Should those movies come out on Thursday? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Comment down below about what you thought, and I'll see you in the next episode.